Good evening, everybody. My name is Cara Halgren. I serve as the Vice President for Student Affairs and Diversity here at the University of North Dakota. First of all, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Unfortunately, President Armacost had a last-minute change in his schedule, and he is not able to be here with us tonight. I know that he wishes he could be, and for those of you joining us this fall, I know he will be out and about on campus. Looking forward to meeting all of you. So, unfortunately, not able to be here tonight, but I know he's as excited about having everybody come back to campus this fall as we are. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. So tonight is all about you. Tonight is really about making sure that you have an opportunity to ask all of the questions that you have so that you can be as excited about coming to UND this fall as we are about having you on campus. And to that end, I have all of my fabulous colleagues joining me here tonight. The process works like this. You can ask anything that you want to ask, and all you need to do is type it in the Q&A. My colleague, Dr. Cassie Gerhardt here, she's going to field the questions for us, and she's going to direct them to the people that she thinks are most appropriate in being able to provide you with the answer that you need. So along with that, I think we can probably go ahead and get started. So Cassie, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Dr. Halgren. As Dr. Halgren said, my name is Cassie Gerhardt, Associate Vice President for Student Affairs and Diversity. And I will just remind folks, please start submitting your questions through the Q&A chat feature. And to my colleagues joining us this evening, if you could please introduce yourself before you answer a question to give some context to our audience, that would be most helpful. We're going to start with what I think are probably the elephant questions in the room, and that is in light of COVID-19. I just walked away from the evening news in my own kitchen and know that it led off with COVID. And so we want to address a couple of those questions, and I am going to send the first question to Provost Eric Link, one of our newest colleagues. Provost Link is, I think, just celebrating about 5 weeks on campus. So Provost Link, could you please visit with everybody and share where we're at with conversations about masks as we prepare for the start of the fall semester?
Of course, Cassie, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Link, and I'm the provost here at the University of North Dakota. And as Cassie said, I'm the new kid, just finished up about my 5th week or so here on campus, but really excited to welcome everyone back to campus this fall. I hope everyone listening has had a great summer and is getting ready for a great fall semester here at UND. So let me try to address, and I'll do so in summary fashion, kind of where we stand relative to masks on campus right now. And I'll address vaccines just a little bit as well. Currently, UND does not have a universal vaccine mandate or mask mandate. So as standing guidance right now, you do not have to be vaccinated to attend UND. You do not have to wear a mask to step onto our campus or participate in many of the activities here on campus. That said, vaccines remain, and they are, the single best way we can try to protect our campus and each other from this pandemic. So as a campus, we strongly encourage everyone to get the vaccine, to protect yourself and to protect your friends and colleagues here on campus. In terms of masks, masks are not required when you are on campus. However, there are certain places on campus that do require them. A couple buildings on campus, the College of Nursing, the certain sections in the College of Aerospace Studies, the School of Medicine and Health Sciences. There are areas of campus where masks are required to be worn when you're in those spaces. In addition, individual faculty members may, at their discretion, require mask usage in their classrooms. If that's the case, then that information will be communicated to the students in the class on the syllabus. It should be on the Blackboard shell. In other words, you should receive communication from your instructor, making you aware of whether you will have to be wearing a mask when you enter that class or not. So my advice to everybody is have a mask in your pocket. Bring it with you when you come to campus. If you step into a classroom where the instructor is requiring masks to be worn, put it on. If you're in a class where masks are not required, then you can leave it in your pocket if you choose, or you may put it on for your own safety and for the safety of others. A last thought, we are following very closely CDC guidelines on these matters, as well as information that we get on a daily basis from the state and other reporting institutions. And right now, because of where the pandemic levels are, we are strongly encouraging mask usage when indoors for everybody. So please have a mask, wear it if you wish for your own protection. We certainly encourage it. Get vaccinated, again, for your own protection, the protection of others, and we're going to be ready for a great fall semester. Cassie, back to you.
Thanks, Provost Link. Dr. Porter, Dr. Bierke, Brian Willis, anything to add from the lens of the School of Medicine and Health Sciences, or perhaps through the lens of aerospace? We probably have a number of future aviators joining us, and so they may have some questions in terms of our aircraft and things. So, Dr. Porter, anything to add in relation to the School of Medicine and Health Sciences?
No, really nothing extra what Dr. Link added. The School of Medicine has a number of clinical faculty that see compromised patients every day. Students are also trained in affiliate sites where compromised patients, they see compromised patients. And so we ask all our allied health students and our medical students to wear masks in the building to protect our patients. There's also standardized patients that students train with. And so that's the reason for having masks in the School of Medicine. And we also encourage, it's not mandated, but UND does not mandate vaccinations, but we do have affiliate sites that are now going to require vaccinations for being trained in their facilities. So it's not that UND is requiring the vaccination, it's if you want to be trained and want to get your degree, I have no other choice but ask you to get vaccinated.
I appreciate that. That would be for any students doing field experiences in different locations, which probably not a lot of our incoming new students, but it's a good point to remember, Dr. Porter, and remind everybody that if they're working in some other places, there could be expectations. Brian, do you want to add anything in regards to the airport and students who might be flying and other things related to aerospace?
Yeah, again, my name is Brian Willis, Director of Aviation Safety for UND Aerospace. But right now, we are mandated to wear masks at the airport in facilities due to the TSA mandate that's currently expected to run through the middle of September. At that point, that if that TSA mandate goes away and nothing else changes, masks will be strongly encouraged if you want to wear them. In the aircraft right now, there's no mask required. When you're outside, no masks are required. The only time it is when you're in a facility at the airport, which does not include the campus buildings. So we've been changing every month as COVID changes. So I expect more news to come. So come September, October, and so on.
Great, thanks. Alex, I'm going to send this question to you. It starts with, we know quarantining was not a positive experience for our students last fall, but could you provide an overview of, will we be quarantining positive students in hotels again? So maybe just an overview of plans for students who, and what it might mean for quarantining.
Yep, so my name is Alex Boknowski, Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs and Diversity. The short answer is we will make hotels available for students who are positive or are unvaccinated close contacts. The longer answer to that is if your students living in the residence halls, they are not allowed to stay in the residence halls during their isolation or recommended quarantine period. And so we will make the hotel space available to them, but they don't have to go to the hotel space. They can go home or to another location. They just can't stay on campus. We have that service available through our self-reporting site. It's called Voucher. And then when we receive those reports, we will facilitate setting up a student with a hotel room if that is something that they desire.
So can I throw a plug in, Cassie, while we're talking about this? So Alex made reference to students living in residence hall settings. We recognize that getting a vaccine is a very personal decision, and that while some people are very comfortable with that, others are not, and we respect that. At the same time, we are working with a large number of students and trying to keep everybody healthy while they all live together. And so again, back to Alex's point of, we will not require isolation. We will not require quarantining. At the same time, we are not going to ask students to stay in the residence halls if we know that they are positive or have been identified as a non-vaccinated close contact. So what does that mean? That means that if you are vaccinated and you're around somebody else who happens to be positive, you still get to stay in the residence halls. You still get to stay in your room. You still get to go to classes in person. And that doesn't change unless you become symptomatic and ultimately come down with COVID yourself. So again, it goes back to, what we've said earlier, is that vaccination is, we think, one of the best deterrents to passing COVID. And we want to throw that out there as an option and to let people understand that students might experience things differently based on their status. And so we just want to make sure that people have all of the information that they need to make the choice that is best for them.
Thanks, Dr. Halgren. I know Provost Link said it in his comments, and I know some people are joining us. We've gotten another question about, will vaccines be required? Just Dodie, could you address, will vaccines be required? And then with that, maybe what student health services can provide students if they have questions. So first take the, will vaccines be required? And then again, additional services from student health services in this area.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Jess Doody. I'm the Director of Student Health Services. And so the quick answer for will vaccines be required at UND is no, the vaccine will not be required. COVID-19 vaccine is not required. However, it's available. It's available at Student Health Services. It's available within our community, and it's available in most of our local areas as we sit here today. We have all the varieties of COVID vaccine available at Student Health Services. We have medical professionals, registered nurses, medical doctors, physician, or family nurse practitioners, physician assistants, all available to help answer questions. I know that there's a lot of people who just have questions and they want to talk them through with a medical professional before they opt to get the vaccine, or just want to talk it through. So that's available at Student Health Services as well. And again, vaccines will not be, COVID-19 vaccines will not be required to attend UND. There are other vaccines that are required, but that's a different topic. COVID vaccines won't be.
I know we received a question if masks will be provided. We will have, we have branded masks still. You could email Christy or I, and we can get you UND branded masks. And I know we'll also have disposable masks deployed around campus. So a few different ways, but if you need a UND branded mask, we do still have some from this past spring, and we can help provide students a mask or two. Cara, while we stay on some COVID questions and in the quarantine area, can you talk a little bit more if COVID shuts things down? And so I'm going to go to this space again, if we see what we're seeing in perhaps some other areas, would the residence halls stay open? So can you talk about maybe what we experienced last fall and how we approach things in terms of our residence halls operations?
Sure. Can I back up just a second? I'm watching the Q&A in real time, and I want to address this. What sort of experiences would unvaccinated students be unable to have in comparison to vaccinated students? Vaccinated students and non-vaccinated students have access to absolutely all of the same experiences on campus. The difference is that if you are COVID positive or you are identified as a close contact and non-vaccinated, then that changes your ability to either remain in your residence hall room during that time period, or your ability to go to class in person. But I just want to clarify those that piece that, again, non-vaccinated students, vaccinated students, all welcome on the campus. We know that people make different decisions about this. That's great. We just want you to know that if you're identified as a close contact or have COVID, that means something a little bit different on the campus for you. That's it. In terms of the residence halls, yes, the residence halls will remain open. And again, one of the ways that we're going to keep the residence halls open is by continuing to do the quarantine and isolation operations that as we've just talked about. And so again, we managed to keep the residence halls open last year for the majority of the year. And so actually all year. And yeah, seems like it was so long ago. We kept it open all year. Don't anticipate any changes this year. And again, feel like that we are in a good position and have strategies in place to make that happen. So.
Cara, along that line, follow-up question, should students be expected to leave the residence hall because they need to quarantine in a hotel? Can you discuss how the costs of the hotel are addressed?
Right, we are incredibly grateful in that we have managed to secure federal funds that will cover the cost of hotel rooms and dining services for students staying there. And so whether you're a student who lives on campus in our residence halls, or you're a student who lives off campus in the community and you need a safe place that you can isolate or quarantine, that you've made that choice, we can provide that space and that opportunity for you at no cost to you.
Cara, we've talked a little bit about the residence halls and potential impact should we have an outbreak of COVID. Could you talk a little bit about what would happen in terms of the academic experience if we had a COVID outbreak? And specifically, this goes to if we need to pivot to more remote instruction and any impact on tuition or tuition refunds.
Sure, I think what we learned last year is that every student is a little bit different and every experience is a little bit different. And so I don't know that there's any general blanket answer for any of this. What I would suggest to you is that if you have a student that has concerns about being able to participate in class, in person, or questions of that sort, that you are either talking with, again, my colleague Alex Pokranowski here in the Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities, you're talking to one of the core advisors, you're talking to a faculty member, any of those folks who can guide you in terms of making the decisions that are best for you. Last year, we worked with a lot of different students who were comfortable in some settings and not comfortable in others, and that's fine. But again, I think it really has been a personalized approach to this. So if we get to the point where we have to go completely remote and online, that's by far much larger conversation and decision that would be made. And certainly that if we ever got to that place, that we would be talking with students and families about that.
Sounds good. Dr. Pokranowski, I'm going to give you this question. Will out-of-state students be quarantined following their flights to campus for welcome weekend or during breaks? So just the interstate travel and quarantining.
Yep. So at this point, there is not any requirements for out-of-state people to quarantine when coming to campus or to North Dakota. So no, they will not be required to quarantine.
Great. Jess Doty, I've got a couple of questions for you. So if a student gets their initial first dose, so this would be a multi-dose, either the Pfizer or the Moderna. If a student were to get their initial first dose in Minnesota, can they get a second one at Student Health Services?
Absolutely. In fact, I would highly encourage that if you have gotten one dose, make sure you complete the series. We know that both doses is much greater protection and as a much better situation to be in as the Delta virus is flaring throughout the country. And so it doesn't matter what state somebody comes from. If you have record of your first vaccine, we will definitely help you complete your series. And we can help you find the records if you have misplaced the first dose or if you need help. We know how to get in touch with other state health departments and we'll gladly help you with that as well.
Thanks, Jess. Just one we haven't talked about, we've talked a lot about COVID vaccines. Can we talk COVID testing? Could you provide an overview of how testing is available on campus for students who might be interested in a COVID-19 test?
Yeah, so Student Health Services, like I said, is a fully staffed medical clinic. And over this last, 18 months now of COVID life, we've secured a new machine at Student Health Services that allows us to do COVID PCR COVID testing, which is the ideal COVID test. And it can actually be done within less than an hour's time. You can have your COVID test results. At this point in time, it's available for UND students. You make an appointment at Student Health Services for a COVID test. We would do people who are symptomatic or identified as a close contact. And we've been doing them for other special circumstances, traveling or needing testing for something else as well. So that's available at Student Health Services Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. And then within the community, there's also a COVID testing available that we can help if students need other options or have other needs for testing. But the PCR testing is right available on campus for students.
Jess, I think one of the follow-up questions we'll get is the cost for testing or vaccines for our students. Could you just discuss that as well?
Yeah. Right at this point in time, all of our services at Student Health Services are billed through your health insurance. And so I just want to put that out there. However, health insurance is mandated to pay, and there's federal funding for those who do not have health insurance that gets billed through. So at the end of the day, it's at no cost. I just want to make sure that's upfront and known that it does initially get billed through your health insurance. And we've noticed all of them are covering it at 100%. There isn't much of an out-of-pocket cost for anybody. And those that don't have health insurance, we have other options available.
Great, thanks. So I see a lull in the COVID related questions. So I'm going to pivot a little bit more to our typical, the fall semester is starting kind of move-in questions, and they kind of go in a little bit of a chronological order. So we have some students who are moving in early because of commitments to marching band and other things. So Carrie Peltier, here comes the first parking question of the evening, and it's all yours, my friend. Can you just talk a little bit about parking restrictions, especially for family members who might be bringing their students to campus prior to welcome weekend, and then as well plans for visitors, family members during welcome weekend, the parking question, how they park on campus?
Okay. Nothing has been set up to suspend enforcement. So as of now, if people are coming to campus, you will have to purchase a $7 daily permit. Or there's hourly pay parking in some key areas around campus that can be used. But we do have open parking as well, which is from 4 p.m. to 7 a.m. where no permit is required, and then on the weekends.
And then to clarify, on welcome weekend, right, Carrie, it's no permit needed on the Saturday and Sunday, correct?
That is correct. Yes, we are not enforcing at all welcome weekend. We are out there helping with traffic flow and getting students where they need to be.
Great. Christy, I know you're navigating questions, but I'm going to send this one to you. So I'm going to put you on the spot to answer a question. So a question came in, a student moving from far away, much farther than just across state or across from Minnesota. Do you have any suggestions for the student and how they get connected, ways to get engaged on campus? Some things that you might suggest, given this all kind of fits in your area of responsibility?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Christy Okerlund, Director of Student Involvement and Parent Programs. And one of the events that I get to help assist with every year is Welcome Weekend. So we're very excited to see you on campus. What I would recommend for a student coming from far away is to really immerse themselves in the first few weeks of the semester. It will likely feel overwhelming. We'll have a lot of programming going on, a lot of opportunities to meet people, fun activities and events, especially on Saturday and Sunday of Welcome Weekend, August 21st and 22nd. Really, our goal there is social, helping students meet other students. Monday, we shift a little bit more academically. A lot of our colleges will have orientations. And then throughout the first weeks of the semester, we really have the first 83 days set up of a different activity going on every day, all the way through November and even beyond that. So really encourage your student to get involved, to join a student organization. We have a student organization fair. We often just meet with students one-on-one in our office as well to learn more about them and to help them get connected to different opportunities on campus or organizations that might be a good fit. So those are a few things I recommend.
And Christy continues to work on the Welcome Weekend schedule in some locations in light of changes on campus. The schedule is posted online. If you go to the UND website, and search Welcome Weekend, you can see the list of activities, because this then goes into the next question. And Megan Thomas, I'm going to send this one your way. For students moving into a residence hall, after they move in, kind of what the rest of the schedule is like for them. And specifically, can they move things in after their initial move-in hour time period? So if you could talk a little bit about the move-in process, that would be great.
Sure. We are asking students to sign up for that move-in hour to help control kind of the flow of traffic at our key distribution tents. They will then be able to go to their residence halls and enter into the stop, drop, and go zones where the volunteers will be available to help unload vehicles and carry stuff up to rooms. They do not need to do all of that within that initial time, that initial hour. So you could maybe go and buy some stuff around town and come back and move things in again. We just do ask that you arrive to campus during the time frame that you've signed up for to assist us with that key distribution area. After students move in, we encourage them to participate in the Welcome Weekend events that are happening. And I know the schedule for that has been shared with everybody already.
We talk a lot about getting involved. I would also put a plug in for our amazing resident assistant staff who will be around during move-in weekend. For many of us, that was where we got our start getting involved on campus. We had an RA who got us engaged in activities. I know that's the case for myself, Dr. Halgren, and others. So I want to put a plug in for our resident assistants who will be critical in helping students acclimate to their residence halls and really to the entire campus. So also they should connect with their RAs. Dr. Halgren, a question for you. This parent shares that she has a daughter who's a new student at UND this fall and is a member of a minority group. Could you please share how UND supports students who are members of minority communities, whether that be racial, gender, LGBTQ, religious communities? Can you talk a little bit about opportunities for connection and engagement?
Sure. So we all know that, well, we believe that, again, connected students are happier students who retain students, right? And so my first thought in terms of your student would be is we want to make sure that they get connected and that they find folks that they feel comfortable with. And there are a number of different areas on our campus that do a great job of connecting students. One of them is student diversity and inclusion, and we have a Pride Center here on campus. In the brand new, soon to be opened on August 23rd, beautiful Memorial Union. So again, if your student were to go up on the second floor where the Pride Center will be, there will be lots of folks, including our colleague Jeff Maliski, who will welcome them and help them get connected on campus. So there is the Pride Center, there's also student diversity and inclusion, there's also the American Indian Center. All of those places are a great location to start with.
I will just add, there's also a number of student organizations that have an affinity-based perspective. And so if you search the student org directory, you can type in student orgs on a search, a number of orgs that have an affinity connection to consider as well. And if you can't find something, email Christy Okerlund. She also works with student orgs and she can help students get connected. Bill Chaves, question for you, my friend. We're all looking forward to college sports starting, maybe none more so than myself. So can you talk about what's the current status of campus sporting events? This one specifically is questioning hockey. Will we be at full capacity this year? So just maybe plans as we approach the start of the fall sports season.
Yeah, thanks, Cassie. I appreciate it. My name is Bill Chaves. I'm the Director of Athletics, as well as, and more importantly, a father of an incoming freshman this year. So I'm actually kind of doing double duty here, listening to all my friends around the screen. No, we are excited about this year. Right now, we are thinking full capacity in all of our venues. And I think the most important thing for you all right now is to go to our website, fightinghawks.com/students. If you go to that, you'll get all the information and all of the schedules and all of the things that you're going to need to be in our stands and cheering loudly for us. During move-in weekend, women's soccer does play at home on that Saturday at 1 o'clock, women's volleyball at noon on that Sunday. And then our first home football game of the fall is September 18th, and that is also Potato Bowl. And so for many of you that have been around for a long, long time, it's an exciting weekend for sure. But full capacity, Cassie.
We're excited. For those of you new to Grand Forks, yes, we do revere the potato in the Red River Valley. And each year, as a part of it, we celebrate with Potato Bowl. And one of the longstanding events many of us are looking forward to returning is the Thursday night of Potato Bowl week. We will once again try to set a record for the most French fries eaten at one setting. So Provost Link, you're new here. These are things you got to get used to, but the annual French fry feed in University Park, we will encourage all students and folks to come out. A big bowl of greasy, salty French fries that are amazing, and we celebrate the potatoes. So add it to your calendars. Thanks, Bill, for the plug. So Jess, and I think you've seen this question perhaps as well. It's got a couple of parts. So here's one for you. So this one, as I understand it, not me, because I'm not the medical person, but this parent is sharing it. Vaccinated people carry as much of the virus in their nasal passages as others. Why are they able, as close contacts to a positive person, keep going to class, and if they become positive, to stay in the residence hall? This seems to be an easy spreading situation, especially if they are personally asymptomatic. So maybe just some conversation about the expectations regarding quarantine for a vaccinated person versus an unvaccinated person.
I'm gonna attempt to take a stab at a little bit of it and maybe do a little bit of educating on what I know at this point. And I'm just gonna start with the caveat. This is ever changing, and every day I think I learn something new about COVID-19 and now the Delta virus and how things are spreading. We do know that COVID vaccinated people are able to get that COVID-19, and the data at this point shows that it's a very small percentage that are able to spread it. And so I think that's where we're going to have to keep watching the data, keep watching the situation, and decide as an institution how we're going to handle it. I think it kind of links to why we are encouraging masks, right? When we're in a highly transmissible setting, we have a lot of people in a lot of different places. Wearing masks is really important, and trying to take those safety measures of keeping your distance, washing your hands, monitoring your symptoms. If you're feeling ill, go get it checked out, go get tested. All of those things are just as important. I know I'm not totally answering the question, but I just wanted to put those things out there, and I'm gonna maybe pass it to Cara to help with a little bit more of how UND decided to make the decisions that we did.
Yeah, so this is, everything changes when you move from being a close contact to being positive. And that's the gist of it here. So as I wrote in the chat, I said students are encouraged to monitor their symptoms if they're close contact and they're vaccinated, wear a mask, and get tested 3 to 5 days after a known exposure, but aren't required to quarantine at that point. However, if a student becomes positive and now is COVID positive, it doesn't matter if the student is vaccinated or not. Positive is positive is positive. And so once a student becomes positive, then it's a case of not being able to continue staying in their residence hall room. They're not mandated to isolate. We just are asking that students not be on campus during that time period when they've been recommended to isolate.
Can I just add one other piece to it? The vaccinations were meant to help prevent people getting severely ill or being hospitalized. And the vaccines are doing their job in that case. And so I think that also gives us a little bit of, if a vaccinated student is around other people or has been exposed, hopefully they have that protection to keep them from getting severely ill and becoming hospitalized. And at this point, we believe that the vaccine is doing its job in that aspect as well.
And this is Jim Porter again, Associate Dean for Student Affairs and Admissions in the School of Medicine. The parents' question is the exact reason why we are having masks in the School of Medicine, because we do interact with patients or standardized patients that could be compromised. We don't know if their vaccination status, we can't ask that. So this is the reason why we at the School of Medicine have mandated masks for just that reason. We don't know. Again, like Jess said, we don't, it changes every day.
Bill Chaves, another point of clarification, as we go back to full capacity at the athletic events, do we anticipate masks being expected at the Alaris or the REA, the Ralph Engelstad Arena, excuse me?
Yeah, and I think the word, it's not required. It may be encouraged at this point in time, but not mandated or required as of today, as of this Zoom.
That's how Bill leaves himself open to the fact that this is ever changing, and he's working with our off-campus colleagues who manage those properties. So thanks, Bill. Christy, I'm going to send this one to you because you coordinate the event that will answer the question. This question is there an event where students can get help in finding their classes?
Yes, absolutely. And I think Cassie mentioned that Welcome Weekend website, und.edu/welcome weekend. But we do have an event, and it's called just that, Find Your Classes. It will be on Sunday, August 22nd from noon to 3 p.m. How it works is students will meet in the main lobby area of Gamble Hall, and we will pair them up with a current UND student ambassador. From there, students will just need to have their class schedule. Most often they just pull it up on their phone, and then we will walk around and go inside of all of the academic buildings that they have class and find their actual classrooms. And so very happy to do that. We usually get hundreds upon hundreds of students that will come out for this event, and it is a lot of fun. They get to meet other students that might even be in their same classes as they're walking around. So that's a very fun event, Sunday from noon to 3, August 22nd.
It is a great event. It is fun to see everybody out on campus with their phones up looking for their classes. So we encourage students to join us for that one. Jess, I'm going to give this one to you, and Alex, if you want to add anything here. If you are found positive or not feeling well at all, even if not COVID, especially for students traveling from far away, how do they receive medical care and or monitoring?
So the first thing I would say is to call Student Health Services. We're available on campus. We'll be right behind the Memorial Union in McCannell Hall. We're available by phone. You can walk in. And we have online Ask a Nurse where you can chat online with a nurse or make an appointment online, all within the UND Student Health Services webpage. So that is available to students right on campus. Obviously, if it's an emergency, people need to call 911, and we have a local healthcare system that can help out with that situation. We have testing available at Student Health Services. So when people are ill, the best way to mitigate the spread of COVID is any symptom that appears to be COVID, go get it tested, go check it out and make sure that we're not continuing the spread. And so I would recommend that people call and schedule an appointment at Student Health. It's right on the UND webpage.
Again, an easy one to find. If you just go and search Student Health Services, you'll get all the information and links to the things that Jess is sharing. So, Christy, I'm going to give this one. Well, Bill or Christy. Christy always explains it to me, Bill. So, but I'll let you do it. So it's the question of where can students buy season hockey tickets? So, Bill or Christy, I always go to Christy. Sorry, Bill. She helps me with this one. But Bill, how do students get season hockey tickets?
Yeah, you go to fightinghawks.com/students. All the information is there for sure. Their green and white account, everything that they're going to need.
I see a couple of questions in the chat about will the union be open over Welcome Weekend? Unfortunately, no, the union will not open until first thing Monday morning. And so family members who are leaving on Sunday, we'll look forward to you coming back and joining us another weekend or for family weekend, but we will not be in a position to open the building that weekend. We apologize. We really are just getting staff to move into the building the week prior. And so the goal was to open it by the first day of classes. We will meet that goal, but not by much of a margin. And so our staff will still be getting situated. So we're not in a position to open it until Monday the 23rd. So apologies to those who are looking forward to seeing it. It will await you on your return visit to campus. We did get a question about hand sanitizer stations and if they'll be available on campus again this year. Yes, they will be. And I also appreciate the comment about, could you please do more to make sure they stay filled? Often they were empty according to your student. yes, we will pass that on to our colleagues to watch the fill levels in the sanitation, the hand sanitizer stanchions. So thank you for the feedback. We will pass that along. Another question about the union opening. Oh, I wish it could open for welcome weekend. It's just not feasible. Karen Plum, I'm going to send this question to you. If a student is positive and required to quarantine, will there be an online Zoom streaming option, way to stay connected to classes?
Cassie, my name is Karen Plum. I'm the Vice Provost for Student Success. We are working with our faculty to make sure that they have options available to students. What those options might be may differ from course to course, depending on whether the course is set up as a hybrid, if it's meant to be face-to-face. But my best advice is to talk to your faculty about what the options are. You can manage the class if you're in that situation. If you're unsure or not sure who to ask, or not really quite even sure what your question might be, I would advise that you talk to your advisor. Your advisor will be listed in your Starfish account, which you'll learn all about during Welcome Weekend if you're brand new. Your advisor can help you connect to the faculty member and help you navigate that conversation and figure out how to best stay engaged in your class.
I got a note, Alex, that your hand got raised, but I didn't know if you had something to add, maybe not.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
go
going
ahead.
to add to what Karen said, that if you do test positive or identified as unvaccinated close contact or unable to go to class, that the Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities will send you a message when you receive that notice. A part of that message is also to request an absence notification. And if you let us know, that we can help facilitate that process that Karen was just talking about in working and communicating information to your faculty members. Sometimes a faculty member may ask for that official notice or for absence notification, and just know upon reporting that information that we'll send you that absence notification process, that you can let us know and we'll work with you to set that up.
Thanks, Dr. Pokranowski and Dr. Plum, I appreciate it. Dr. Halgren, another question about quarantining, and I think this is one too, if you could highlight, things have changed in our state in where we're at with COVID now versus last year. And so another question of the concern about a vaccinated person who tests positive is shown as much viral load as someone who's not vaccinated. So basically, why are we not mandating quarantining?
Well, at this point in our state, we're able to encourage students to quarantine and isolate, but it is not within our power to mandate that. And so I recognize that there are people that may have concerns about some of this. We welcome your phone calls. We welcome the opportunity to talk with you about the situation as it may exist for you and your student. But it's a situation here in North Dakota where this is what we know that we are able to do in light of COVID-19 and trying to mitigate it on the campus. And so that's where we're at.
I will offer to folks, we've got a handful of questions left and we're set to go. If there is a question that doesn't get answered, or if you need some additional information, I will certainly offer. You can email me. It is cassie.gerhart@und.edu. So my name is on the screen at a dot between first and last and an @und.edu. And I'm happy to either answer your questions or certainly get it out to one of my campus colleagues who can answer your questions. So Carrie, another question about parking, and this person has heard a rumor that there are no more parking passes available for this year. Can you just help clarify that?
Hi, there are parking passes available. The only thing that sells out is our parking ramp permits, because we guarantee parking spaces in the parking ramp, but all other permits have not sold out or will sell out.
I'm just looking at questions. So I am out of questions in the Q&A, and I'm just double checking. So if there are others, please feel free to submit them. Again, we are planning to be here until the top of the hour and happy to address any questions you have. I will tell you, much of the information that we have provided in terms of COVID is also available on the university's dedicated COVID-19 site. So if you go to the UND homepage, at the top, there is a link to the COVID-19 page. that provides a plethora of informative pieces. We have a dashboard posted in terms of positive cases that we are monitoring on campus, or students that have self-reported to us. So lots of information, especially if you're new to campus. Family members, students, you can sign up to, you can subscribe to that site so that if there are updates specific to COVID-19 that are released, that you can receive those. Many of those these days are sent as all sends to members of the campus community, the staff, faculty, and students. And then Christy Okerlund will forward those often through the parents listserv. So if we happen to have family members joining us who do not get Christy's emails, and you would know that you would have gotten one earlier today about this town hall, but if you haven't received those, please email myself or Christy Okerlund, and we're happy to get you signed up for the parents listserv. We try to forward some of the things that we think parents and family members might be most interested in knowing about when we see those updates on campus. So other questions? Sorry, Christy, I know you're typing some things in. A question about how do we receive our UND card? I'm assuming ID card. Janelle Kilgore, do you want to take that one for us? I assume the assumption is the youth card. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, hi everybody. I am Vice Provost of Strategic Enrollment Management. My name is Janelle Kilgore. If you haven't picked up your student ID card, please go to the One Stop Student Services website. You will upload your photo and a government issued ID so we can verify you are who you are. And if you are moving into the residence halls over welcome weekend, your U card will be waiting for you in your packet. If you are not living in our residence halls, we will mail it to you. So we encourage you to go to the One Stop Student Services website and upload your card or upload your photo.
Thanks, Janelle. We got a few more parking questions. So Carrie, I know you probably are seeing those as well. So one, I'll just qualify. There's a question about what is the parking ramp? The parking ramp is the parking structure that is located on the east side of campus, near Swanson Residence Hall to the north of the Hislop Arena, right up against Columbia Road. So the parking ramp, the parking structure, that's what we refer to when we call it the parking ramp. And then Carrie, just some clarifying questions of, again, parking permits and then advice for parking in the days leading up to welcome weekend.
Again, parking permits are going to be required, although in the housing lots, we are going to, probably the Friday before welcome weekend, we're not going to be going through the housing lots, but some resident halls are close to employee parking lots. So I guess what I would suggest is any parking questions, please give us a call at 73551 or email us and we can help answer those questions depending on what hall they're moving into.
Carrie, I'm just going to clarify because you faded on me. Again, parking's phone number is area code 701-777. Was it 3351?
3551.
3551, sorry, 3551. So 701-777-3551. Carrie, can you, for people who have a parking ramp permit, can you clarify where else are they able to park then with that permit?
Yeah, a parking ramp permit gives them access to all the student lots around campus. So you are able to park in a housing lot, you're able to park in any of the blue S zones, and then you're always guaranteed a parking space in the parking ramp, parking structure.
Sounds good. I'm seeing a question. I'm going to assume it's from one of our incoming students coming from a warm weather place, wondering if our parking lots have plugins for cars. No, unfortunately, they do not. As I learned when I was a first-year student and my car battery died. But I will say, Tracy Meidinger, do you want to say the services that UPD offers should someone find themselves with a dead battery in a cold December day?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tracy Meidinger. I'm the interim chief of police here at the university. And if you find yourself with a dead battery, you can contact the University Police Department at our non-emergency number, which is 777-2591 or 3491. And we will have an officer come to your location and provide you with jumpstart assistance. Also, if you find yourself that you've locked your keys in your car, we will also provide an unlock service for you as well. So hopefully those two things don't happen to you at the same time, but if they do, we can take care of both those.
Tremendous services from an amazing police department, not services we provided when I was a first-year student, and my dad, who lived far away, just told me, now you learn how to call a tow truck. So it would have been much easier to call UPD. So thanks for that, Tracy. Provost Link, I'm going to send this to you. Someone inquiring about what's the latest on the Nissler College of Business construction project. If you have an update, you or Dr. Plum, just where we're at with the construction on the Nissler building.
Sure, I'll try to provide a little bit of an update. It's going well. It's moving quickly from all accounts. It's taking shape very nicely, and we anticipate construction being done in about a year. I think we're about a year out, is my understanding, from when we get the keys to the building. But this is an outstanding facility, and it's one that I think everyone on campus is going to be quite proud of when it opens.
It's going to be amazing. Thank you. Brian Willis, will you take this question? Just a question of clarification of where are masks required in the aerospace studies areas. So can you just clarify where masks are required?
At this point, masks are not required on campus in any aerospace facilities. They're only required in buildings that are on the Grand Forks Airport property. So out there we have a few hangars, we have our administration building and our flight operations building. When inside those facilities, you're required to wear a mask. When you're on the ramps, pre-flighting, post-flighting, and or in the airplane, you're not required to wear a mask.
Christy, will you take this question for me? Will the bookstore be open welcome weekend for parents to buy swag? I love how they could put swag in there. So can you talk about what we know of the bookstore's hours for welcome weekend?
Yeah, I was just trying to look up on their website. I don't know the exact hours, but I know that they will definitely be open on Saturday and Sunday. And we'll make sure that that gets added to our welcome weekend website once we have that confirmation. But most definitely Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll have the bookstore available for students.
Thanks, Christy. Brian, another aerospace question. Can we get our ramp badges at the airport when we show up? So could you clarify for students who do not yet have their ramp badges? And when we say ramp here, we mean airport ramp. We're not talking parking ramp. For those of you who are not familiar with some of our aerospace terminology, we're talking for those of students who are flying.
So yeah, the TSA ramp badge that you can gain access to the airport ramps. You don't get your physical card, but when you meet with your CFI for the first time, they'll help walk you through the paperwork, a little bit of training that you have to do. Then you get a temporary card that's assigned to you, and that will get you until you're assigned your physical card, which usually takes between 2 and 3 weeks. So you will get a temporary card once you meet with your flight instructor. We have all that set up the first time you're at the airport with them.
Great, thanks, Brian. Dr. Plum, I'm going to send this question to you. We've gotten it from actually 2 students right away. What happens if our textbooks are back ordered? What happens if I'm not able to get my books? So any updates, thoughts you have there?
Yes, same answer that I gave before. Work with your faculty. Faculty are aware that sometimes books get back ordered. We, especially with COVID and supply and demand and getting things in on time, we've been struggling with that all year. So talk to your faculty member, make sure that they're aware that your books are on back order, that you've worked with the bookstore. Faculty work with bookstore pretty regularly as well. So they're pretty in the loop on where things are at with certain textbooks. But yeah, talk to your faculty, talk to your advisor, make sure that you're not missing anything. And a lot of faculty will provide, if you're missing a chapter, for example, before your book comes in, they'll provide the information to you. Cassie, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry, thanks. So there's a question about, should students have their books already? Not necessarily. Some students wait and get books when they're on campus. So it really depends on your situation. So for the student who or parent who asked that one, can we buy books before welcome weekend? So can you explain the process? So Christy is raising her hand and wants to explain the process, and you're muted, my friend. There you go.
Absolutely, happy to help. If you go to UND's homepage and in the search, just type bookstore, you'll get to the bookstore's homepage. On the bookstore's homepage, you'll scroll down just a small amount and you'll see textbooks ordering, and it's a very, very user-friendly process. Students, you'll open up your class schedule And you'll basically take that information and enter it into the bookstore website. You'll click submit. The textbooks that are required or optional will show up, and you have the option to rent them or buy them. There's new and used options. There's digital options, sometimes depending on the course and the books that the faculty member has selected. And so a pretty seamless process. If you do run into questions, you can certainly contact the bookstore or your faculty members and just ask for assistance there. You can always reach out to me as well.
Brian, another airport ramp question. Will the airport ramp be open on the 21st so students can complete their ramp badge application?
I am actually not sure if they're going to have all the people out there. I know the first Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have the record center, the whole center hangar set up. I do not believe they have that set up for that Saturday. If you want to send me an email, my name is listed here, brian.willis@und.edu, and I can try to get that answer for you.
That's
I'll
great.
just chime in real, Cassie. There is no plans for the airport to be open for those types of operations on the weekend. Rest assured, you can take care of all of this information with your ramp badges come the first day when you meet with your flight instructor or go to your ground schools the first week of class. So I know everyone's excited, and we're excited to welcome you out to the airport to fly, but rest assured we'll set up and we'll take care of that first thing on Monday and Tuesday.
So same goes for someone asking if their student isn't even flying the first semester. Again, no need to worry about that over welcome weekend. There will be time to take care of those things. There's a question, and Amy, I'm gonna do this one with you because I don't know if it's about an international student or not. So there's a question of when we arrive at the airport, Grand Forks Airport flying in, will there be a shuttle service that can take us to the university? In most cases, no, but Amy, I wanna clarify in case there's something different for international students.
Yep, so international students, we will be providing a Uber voucher. So we will be sending those to students later this week so that they can log or click on the link in the email, and then they can get a voucher so they can get a free ride from the airport to campus.
So I just want to note that is a special thing that Amy Sanger and her colleagues in our international student do for international students. For our domestic students, there is not necessarily a shuttle. There is not a shuttle that travels from the Grand Forks Airport to campus. And so you'd be responsible for utilizing Uber or a local taxi company or another means of transportation from the airport into campus. Thanks, Amy. Brian, when do students find out who their flight instructor is? When do they meet them? How does that process happen?
The process for assigning flight instructors should be occurring prior to the end of next week. So once the student schedule is set, our flight instructors are all standardized and briefed in. They should show up on your list. If you go into Ames, that is where you'll identify your flight instructor. And within there, you'll have phone number, email. At the same time, your flight instructor will also know who their students are. So if you haven't reached out to them, they should be reaching out to you to meet the first Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the first week of the semester.
Brian, while you're still there, with no classes on Monday the 23rd before 4 p.m., are there flight labs that day?
The best thing to do is to coordinate with your flight instructor. Yes, you can still meet with your flight instructor and take care of some of that paperwork. If you happen to have a really late lab, we'll say a 7 or 8 p.m., your instructor will probably call you to try not to meet that late at night because you have to go through the records process. And again, those are a little bit shorter hours. So again, you'll get that through your flight instructor, which don't be nervous. Those should all be happening within the next week, showing up in your Ames schedule.
Brian, I got a couple of more questions for you. If we're getting to campus for move-in early, so prior to welcome weekend, can we get the ramp badge before move-in weekend?
No. Okay. No, the ramp badge you'll get a temporary. So that ramp badge will occur a few weeks later.
Great. Brian, another one. My son already has his private pilot's license. How can he keep her current as he was not able to get into the intro class?
Currency-wise, the best option would be to work with Grand Forks Flight Support because of how the flight school is set up. We don't actually rent the airplanes out. They're only utilized for flight training. Otherwise, the course is set up when your son or daughter resumes in the spring, if that's when they got into the course, obviously at that point they can pick up where they left off.
Real quick, I'll just chime in. Again, Elizabeth Bierke, Associate Dean, College of Aerospace. We do have a lot of ways in which students can get engaged. For example, we have a virtual reality lab that is open and free for students to use anytime. It's set up with our aircraft make and model, so we welcome those students to come in, keep their flying skills up that way. We also have a number of student organizations like our UND flying team that we're always looking for new members to join, and that's another way in which students can get engaged and kind of keep their head in flying as well as get themselves in the aircraft.
Another question, is there an easy way to get to campus from the Fargo airport in light of the number of airlines that fly only into Fargo, not Grand Forks? There really isn't a coordinated shuttle. Some students are able to coordinate rides through the class of 2024, 25, some of the Facebook groups. We see some of the connections made through social media, but there isn't a coordinated shuttle bus or regular transportation that goes between Grand Forks and the Fargo airport, just as an FYI, but sometimes students can make those connections through social media ways. I am mindful of time, and I think we got all our questions. And so please note, if you do have other questions as we conclude, please feel free to send them to me. While I might not know the answer, I probably can get it to one of my colleagues who is with us this evening. So again, cassie.gerhart@und.edu. Some of you who are here for orientation programs have my cell phone number. I'm happy to take the text messages. I have learned great things. My colleagues in housing, I know how long a lofted bed is and all of those. And so I thank my colleague, Megan Thomas, who's helped me with some last minute questions that have come in and answering those. And so as we wrap up, Dr. Halgren, I will turn it over to you again to conclude tonight's town hall.
Thanks, Cassie. So I would just like to give out a shout out to my colleagues for being here tonight. Thank you all. And to those of you who've been a part of this conversation with us tonight, we can't tell you how excited we are to see you in person in a few short weeks. So if you've got any questions prior to them, by all means, please let us know. But otherwise, go Hawks, and we'll see you soon. Take care.